The sin of Ham should give us pause. You've likely encountered the term, the curse of Ham, and wondered, who was Ham and why is his curse significant? The Bible introduces Ham as the son of Noah and the father of Canaan. Genesis 9:18. Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were the only human survivors of the flood that wiped out humanity alongside their father Noah. Noah, chosen by God for his righteousness, Genesis 6 verse 9, walked in close fellowship with him. In a time when the world was corrupted and the Nephilim were becoming prevalent, God decided to cleanse the earth through a great flood. Noah, his family, and a pair of every living creature were spared to begin anew. As the floodwaters rose, all other life perished. After the flood, an incident occurred that would stain Ham's legacy. Inside Noah's tent, Ham saw his father's nakedness, and rather than show respect, he told his two brothers outside, perhaps with a tone of mockery. It's possible Ham took pleasure in seeing his father's vulnerability, especially if Noah had reprimanded him in the past. Proverbs 14:9 warns us, "Fools mock at sin." Sharing his father's shame was Ham's second failure. It is never appropriate to treat sin or the embarrassment of others lightly. By exposing Noah's weakness, Ham disrespected not just his father, but the family bond. This act of dishonor is especially serious when directed toward a parent. Noah, a righteous man whose actions saved his family, deserved respect. Ham's ingratitude was amplified by the fact that his very survival was due to Noah's obedience to God. Instead, Ham chose to humiliate him. In contrast, Ham's brothers, Shem and Japheth, acted with reverence. They took a garment, placed it over their shoulders, and walked backward to cover Noah's nakedness without looking at him. Genesis 9:23. Their respectful actions show the proper way to handle others' mistakes, with dignity and care. As 1 Peter 4:8 teaches, love covers a multitude of sins. This story reminds us to be kind when others stumble. Instead of exposing their faults, we should cover them with love and discretion, treating others as we would wish to be treated. This applies particularly to our elders and those in authority. Ham's failure to respect his father mirrors the original sin in the Garden of Eden. Just as Eve was led astray by what she saw, so too was Ham, and he sought to drag others into his mistake, as Eve did with Adam. When Noah awoke and learned what had happened, cursed not Ham directly, but his son Canaan, Genesis 9:25. This curse foretold the future subjugation of the Canaanites by the descendants of Shem and Japheth. Some scholars suggest that Ham's disrespectful behavior, compounded by Canaan's possible involvement, led Noah to direct the curse at his grandson. Regardless, this act of dishonor would carry generational consequence. The phrase uncovering nakedness in the Bible often signifies an improper act or serious disrespect. Some interpretations suggest that Ham's actions were more severe than simply seeing Noah exposed, implying potential immorality. Whether or not this is true, Ham's failure was clear. He disrespected his father in a moment of vulnerability. Noah's mistake of drunkenness followed his great deliverance from the flood, serving as a reminder that even the most righteous can falter. His drunkenness exposed his weakness, much like Adam's sin in the garden exposed his nakedness. Drunkenness, the Bible teaches, degrades a person and opens them to ridicule. Habakkuk 2:15-16. While Noah's lapse was regrettable, it didn't excuse Ham's reaction. The Bible provides balanced guidance on alcohol. While it doesn't prohibit drinking, it clearly warns against drunkenness, Ephesians 5:18. Emphasizing the dangers of losing control and the moral risks that follow. Proverbs 23:29-35. Christians are called to live in moderation and avoid behaviors that might lead others into sin. 1 Corinthians 8:9-13. Ham's sin stands as a cautionary tale of ingratitude, disrespect, and the long-reaching consequences of dishonoring one's family. Though he was one of the few to survive the flood, he squandered the blessing by bringing shame upon his father. In contrast, Shem and Japheth showed that even in moments of weakness, we should protect and preserve the dignity of others. Their actions earned them blessings, while Ham's lineage, through Canaan, faced subjugation. In today's world, where exposing others' flaws often takes precedence over respect and honor, Ham's story remains relevant. It reminds us to act with kindness and discretion, covering others' faults with love rather than ridicule. By doing so, we not only preserve our relationships, but also align ourselves with the blessings that come from honoring those around us, especially our parents and elders. As we reflect on Ham's sin, let us choose the path of Shem and Japheth, walking in integrity, covering others' mistakes with love, and receiving the rewards that follow from living with respect and compassion. The story of Ham, Noah, and the curse of Canaan, found in Genesis 9:18-29, provides profound lessons on respect, humility, family dynamics, and the far-reaching consequences of our actions. As with many biblical narratives, the story invites readers to reflect on how human nature, relationships, and moral responsibilities intersect. Here are some key lessons we can draw from the story, contextualized in today's world. 1. The importance of respect and honor for parents. One of the most significant lessons from this story is the obligation to respect and honor our parents. Ham's great failure was his disrespect towards Noah in a moment of vulnerability. Instead of protecting his father's dignity, Ham exposed it, perhaps with a sense of satisfaction. This violation of familial respect resulted in generational consequences for Ham's descendants. In the Bible, honoring one's parents is one of the 10 Commandments. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Exodus 20:12. It's not merely a suggestion, it's a commandment that promises blessing. This principle extends beyond just immediate family relations. It's a societal expectation to treat elders, leaders, and those in positions of authority with respect. Today, this lesson remains especially pertinent in an age where public figures, including family members, are often humiliated or criticized without hesitation, especially in social media spaces. The story reminds us that disrespecting those who have authority over us or who have played significant roles in our lives can have damaging repercussions. Not just for the individual, for their legacy. Honoring our parents isn't conditional upon their perfection, but rather a reflection of our character. 2. Humility in moments of weakness. Noah's drunkenness presents another vital lesson. Even the most righteous and steadfast individuals are prone to moments of weakness. Noah, who had displayed immense faithfulness in building the ark and following God's commands, stumbled in his later years. His lapse in judgment serves as a reminder that no one is immune to making mistakes, even after great victories or deliverances. This teaches us that we should be vigilant about our own weaknesses, especially after moments of success or triumph. Often, it's after our greatest achievements that we become vulnerable to pride or carelessness. In Noah's case, his momentary indulgence in alcohol led to his humiliation. The story illustrates the dangers of excess and how even righteous individuals can fall if they let their guard down. In our own lives, humility requires recognizing our limitations and vulnerabilities. Instead of gloating over our successes or becoming complacent, we should maintain a humble attitude and guard against behavior that could lead to downfall. Number 3. The consequences of our actions. One of the more troubling aspects of this story is the curse that falls not on Ham directly, but on his son, Canaan. Noah's anger over Ham's actions led to Canaan being cursed to a life of servitude. This illustrates a broader biblical principle that the consequences of sin can extend beyond the individual, affecting future generations. While this may seem harsh, it reflects a reality often observed in life. Our actions can have ripple effects on those around us, particularly on our children and descendants. In many ways, parents set the stage for their children's future through their behavior, attitudes, and decisions. Ham's disrespect not only damaged his relationship with his father, but also cast a shadow over his family's future. In today's context, this reminds us to consider the long-term effects of our choices, especially within families. Our actions can either create a legacy of blessing or one of hardship. This applies not only to moral decisions, but to how we nurture relationships, instill values, and conduct ourselves in the world. Number 4. The power of compassion and discretion. In stark contrast to Ham's actions, Shem and Japheth exhibited compassion and discretion. Instead of broadcasting their father's shame, they acted to preserve his dignity, covering him without looking at his nakedness. This illustrates the importance of handling the mistakes of others with grace and respect. The Bible teaches that love covers a multitude of sins. 1 Peter 4:8. In Shem and Japheth's actions, we see a clear example of this principle. They chose not to revel in their father's downfall, but to protect him. This behavior is an essential model for how we should respond when others around us fall short. Rather than exposing, mocking, or spreading gossip, we should offer support, discretion, and forgiveness. In today's world, where gossip and public shaming are rampant, the lesson is particularly relevant. Whether in personal relationships or public discourse, we have the choice to either exploit someone's failures or to help them recover. The compassionate path, covering others with love, ultimately leads to blessings, as Shem and Japheth experienced. 5. Honoring the dignity of others, even in their imperfections. Noah's story, especially in his later years, teaches us about human imperfection. Despite his righteousness, Noah succumbed to drunkenness, a mistake that left him exposed and vulnerable. Yet, even in his failure, Noah deserved to be treated with dignity by his sons. This reflects the broader principle that every person, regardless of their mistakes, deserves respect and compassion. This lesson is especially important in our relationships. Everyone, no matter how righteous or virtuous, is capable of failure. The story reminds us that we must honor the dignity of others, even when they falter. Treating people with compassion, especially in their lowest moments, not only reflects love, but also aligns with the principle of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7:12. 6. The value of forgiveness and moving beyond mistakes. Finally, the story calls attention to the importance of forgiveness and moving beyond mistakes. While Ham's actions resulted in a curse, there is still room for redemption in the broader biblical narrative. God's overarching message is one of forgiveness and grace. Just as Noah's descendants were later given new opportunities, so too are we called to move beyond the mistakes of our past and strive for reconciliation and growth. This lesson encourages us to seek forgiveness when we've wronged others, and to offer it generously when others wrong us. In family dynamics and beyond, forgiveness is key to healing and moving forward.